Hello and welcome to the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Tour de Kong. I'm Hyle Russell, and this is November 9th, 2023, and it's a glorious day for the Donkey Kong fan. Or should I say the DKU fan, because after 9.5 years, we finally have Diddy Kong in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And Funky Kong as well. I wasn't even asking for Funky, and we got Funky. So what I am going to do on this special stream is play the new Kongs for the very first time, and also run them through every Donkey Kong related track in the game. So yeah, you can see there's Donkey Kong right there. He has been my go-to, my only bedrock in this game for 9.5 years since the Wii U iteration onto the Switch. I have only had Donkey Kong. Well, I should say, only had Donkey Kong, but I've also had My Me, which is the DKU character U, because we all have our own self-insert in the DKU. And of course, you can dress as the Donkey Kong racing suit, the Me racing suit, sponsored by Bernie DK. So technically, you can make the case there have been two Donkey Kong characters in this game, but we all know that's kind of stretching it. It's like, yes, it's the character U, who, if we follow strict DKU chronology, was a contestant on It's Mr. Pants and then found worldwide fame. But you can also put him in the Fox McCloud, or you, I should say. Me is a he, but you could be a she or they, but you can put them in the Fox McCloud racing suit, which is also, DKU from a certain point of view. I believe that's based off Star Fox Zero and not Adventures or Assault or Command, but, it's still tangentially related to the Dinosaur Planet trilogy. So this is what we had to deal with, mind you. For 9.5 years, we had to contend with the coping mechanisms of not having any more Donkey Kong characters in what's otherwise, I would say, a very superlative Mario Kart game. Probably the best console Mario Kart that there's ever been, ever, on any platform. Granted, I mean, we all have nostalgia for the Mario Kart game that hit us at the right age, but for me, that would be Mario Kart 64, and I can tell you right now, Mario Kart 64 isn't as good as Mario Kart 8, as much as I have fond memories for Mario Kart 64. Now, Diddy Kong Racing's another story, of course, but, okay, as, they say, Grant Kirkhope says. Hello to Scooter7890 in the live stream. Hello to Porygon. Hello to Superstar X Alien 169. Thank you for joining me. I'll be checking in with the chat as we go. I am a little frazzled right now because I was having streaming difficulties before we got started, and I was scrambling to get everything working right. I've been having problems streaming off the Switch, my original Switch. So hopefully I can enjoy this experience and not have like one eye always looking, making sure everything's running correctly. But I'm going to enjoy this. I hope you enjoy this as well. This is the first time I get to play as Diddy in Mario Kart 8, and just look at that. Just look. Can we just admire this? Deal with me for a second. We're gonna admire this character select screen. So it bugs me that Donkey Kong is nowhere near his friends, right? But I believe Kremlin Campaigner was the first to point this out on social media, and I don't know if it's by design. I think it's more a happy accident, Bob Ross style, but I'm going to embrace it nonetheless. So yes, Donkey Kong is fully immersed in the villain row It's a column or row. Row, the villain row of the Mario Kart 8 roster. Even though, Donkey Kong hasn't really been a Mario villain for quite some time. I would say around Mario Party 1999, they buried the hatchet, but that's where he's been. That's where they categorized him. And of course, the DLC across the original version, the original launch of 8 Deluxe, and of course the booster course passes kind of muddled it, but down on the bottom row, we have the, I guess, guest characters of Mario Kart, and these are characters from other Nintendo franchises: Splatoon, Animal Crossing, The Legend of Zelda, and now, holy shit, it's Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong actually being recognized as a separate category. And yes, Pauline is there, and we have said that internally Nintendo probably considers Pauline a Mario character at this point. So, like I said, I don't think this is necessarily... It's a fool's errand to try to divine any reasoning behind what Nintendo does at any point, because they will prove you wrong with their next move. But I do think there was some thought put into this, and they were like, well, it makes sense. Diddy and Funky, they are from the Donkey Kong series. While Donkey Kong's more of a shared character betwixt Mario and Donkey Kong proper. So I don't know, I like that. I like that. Now, we could have just gotten Peachette out of there, put Pauline right up there, and put Dixie here, and then it really would have worked. But I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain today. Today's not a day for complaints. Today is a day for celebration, and that day for celebration comes with Diddy. In full disclosure, I did play as Diddy only to get a screenshot or two so I could do my news article this morning. But I shut it off immediately once I got the screenshots. I pulled out, and I took a pill to forget. So this is my first time as playing Diddy. First time actually savoring it. So look at him. Look at him. He's perfect. He's perfect in any way. This little monkey. All right. So what vehicle? What vehicle? I have. If you follow DK Vine on Facebook, you'll know all of my screenshots from Mario Kart 8 have been Donkey Kong in the Mercedes W25 Silver Arrow. Just because I thought it was funny. It's a real world vehicle, and I don't know. I would think Donkey Kong would really love the form and function of a Mercedes, but I don't think it fits Diddy that well. So what vehicle should we put Diddy in? And I don't think I've unlocked all of them in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because I haven't had that much incentive to play a lot of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because I played it on the Wii U as Mario Kart 8. So this will give me the incentive to finally unlock everything, but for now, got this selection of vehicles. I really like the way he looks in the GLA, the Mercedes GLA. And of course that one changes color depending on your character, so he's got that nice Diddy red paint job there. We could also put him in a shoe, the sneaker. I don't think Diddy's a foot guy. I just don't get that vibe from him. He's not into feet so much. Funky, Swanky, definitely Swanky. Swanky's a foot man. The Biddy Buggy I hate. Prancer, that's just weird. That one's pulsating. Problem is, okay, here's my problem with Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The vehicle selection, if you come off of Mario Kart Tour, the vehicle selection is just abysmal. It's so paltry compared to the abundance of Mario Kart Tour. Because Mario Kart Tour launched as a gacha game, a gacha mobile game. So the whole incentive was get all the vehicles we can get in there. And so you had the Rambi Rider, you had a variant called the Rambi Runner, you had the Gold Rambi Rider, you had the Barrel Train, the Gold Train, you had the DK Jumbo, the Chrome DK Jumbo, the DK Maximum. So just off Donkey Kong vehicles alone, we had so much to choose from, and this is just your standard Mario Kart carts. And the Zelda and Splatoon and Animal Crossing, they get various things. There's nothing for Donkey Kong characters in here, and so we got to come up with something that suits them. I think the bikes suit both Diddy and Funky, but I think I want Diddy in a car, and I think the GLA, since he is Donkey Kong's shadow, his protege, his former sidekick, and now adventuring partner, it makes sense that he would also be in a Mercedes, like Donkey Kong, but he would probably go for something a little bit more modern, a little bit more sleek, Diddy being a child of the 90s and all. So we're going to go with that. I don't like the Crimson Slim on that. That's what I've been using for Donkey Kong, but I think I just want the regular Mario Kart tires there, and the Flower Glider is what I always use for Donkey Kong here. Obviously, we'll use the Plane Glider for Funky. So, a Parachute? That might work, although, I don't know, just the regular glider kind of looks good with Diddy's star athletic emblem, whatever it is. So, we'll go with that. Be thinking in the chat what you want Funky in when we do Funky. This is going to be low pressure, low stakes. I'm not trying to prove any points here. I'm not trying to show off my Mario Kart racing prowess, of which I have very little. This is about savoring the aspect of Diddy Kong and Funky Kong being in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So we're going to go 50cc. We're going to go 50cc because I just don't give a damn. And you know what? Let's just make this easy on us because I don't know. 4 races. Can I do 10? No, it has to be an... Okay, we'll do 12. Does 12 sound good? 12 is a lot. But because I think there's like 5 things I could charitably call Donkey Kong tracks. 5 courses I could call Donkey Kong tracks in this game. So if I was doing Diddy and Funky, then that would be 10 races. But if I throw Donkey Kong in there, then that's 15. I could throw Pauline in there and that'd make it 20. But you see, I'm just constantly, there's no increments of 5. So, let's do 6 races as Diddy. I'll try to make up the difference somewhere. And then we'll do 6 races as Funky and see how we're feeling as we go on. I might throw in more as we go along. Let's have all items on. If we're going easy, then I don't want to nerf this experience too much. I would normally just go into time trial to really get a feel of a character, but whatever. So yeah, we're gonna start with DK Jungle, the track or course from Mario Kart 7 that was developed by Retro Studios. People forget that Retro Studios co-developed Mario Kart 7. This is why we have a very authentic Donkey Kong track in Mario Kart. It's because this is Retro's doing, and they got their stuff in there. So, you know, people can say, "Oh, I wish we had something more based on the Rare era," and I agree, but I'm not going to complain or turn up my nose at this. I really like this track, and it looks gorgeous in this game. It's nice to have this little all-out Donkey Kong track with all these DK elements. The only thing I wish is the coins were replaced by banana coins, like in the Hyrule track or Yoshi's Island track. Okay, here we go. I can't do the speed boost because I'm used to Tour. Okay. God, it's Diddy. I'm so used to playing Mario Kart Tour now because and seeing Diddy on my screen. Makes me feel like I'm playing some sort of really weird up-res version of Tour. This doesn't feel natural. Oops. Well, I could have done that more gracefully. Alright. Fly towards the Golden Temple. Of course, it's not really surreal seeing Diddy in this environment, considering he was one of the three Kongs in Mario Kart, or Donkey Kong Country Returns, excuse me. Fly behind the Screaming Pillar. Wow! Oh, I couldn't make that jump. I'm a little rusty. Sorry, everyone. But look at Diddy. Look at his jumps. I would have to compare his animations to Mario Kart Wii, which is the last time he was in a console Mario Kart game. I mean, a lot of this is from Tour, but I just forget how much was carried over from Tour, or into Tour from Wii for Diddy. He looks good, though. You don't have to take this gliding ramp, I just... Alright. It's so weird that I'm gonna get spiny shelled. Oh, it's a bad place to get spiny shelled, but it's okay. I'm not gliding over this section, but you can just be underwater. There we go. That was just a bit too early the time before. Those macaws up there, they're not from any Donkey Kong game. I like that they're there. I like seeing wildlife that we haven't seen before. But I mean, the Namco arcade games would put ostriches in there that look like espresso. So it's one of those things, you know. Of course, that can't beat Donkey Kong's treehouse, his jungle hut. The geography makes no sense. And here we have Fragoons from off of Donkey Kong Country Returns. I'm getting blue shelled again. Jesus. And this is on easy, mind you. Easy 50cc. I guess this could be the real Golden Temple, though. I wouldn't see any reason this would be a facsimile. They just turned it into a race course, because why not? And the Screaming Pillars. The Screaming Pillars are, I think, one of the aspects of Returns that I'm happy to see stick around. And in things like... Oh! Too far. And things like this and the upcoming theme park. So, there's Diddy's little victory celebration. Diddy Kong beat Cat Peach and Link. Let me soak in that visual. Cat Peach was things like Cat Peach were the kind of the totem of they're in Mario Kart 8, but Diddy isn't. Link as well. Like, are you kidding me? Like, Diddy has a Mario Kart pedigree, pre-existing. Not to even mention his racing bona fides from his own racing game on the N64, but it's okay. It's in the past. It took us almost a decade to get here since the Obama administration. It's just, wow. And Diddy, of course, he's my guy. He's my favorite character ever. So to get him in this game, I can really say this is my favorite Mario Kart now, you know? Hello to Mo Spankins in the chat. Mo Spankins says, love that Diddy's in this game now. I'm going to go back and play it all again as him. And Gibbons here. Gibbons says, you're streaming so early. Well, you know, I could have streamed last night, but I'm glad I didn't, because with all my streaming issues and the update going so slow, it happened to Josh from off of the Geek Critique too. Like, it wasn't in isolation. So, and it's weird because other Mario Kart updates have just been like a minute or two for me. So this one took 2+ hours to download, and I have no idea why. My internet's not that bad. And Chris is here. Chris says in Mario Kart 64 he was the only character who could drive a bus. That's right. That is canon in my mind. So I said we would do 6, and we might come back around to Baby Park. Why Baby Park? I'll explain later. So let's go to the next Donkey Kong track, which would be... This is going to be contentious. I'm going to say it. New York Minute is a Donkey Kong track. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. This is the, of course, tour original New York Minute. It's set in Manhattan, and it is set while a particular show is playing on Broadway, or maybe it's just off Broadway. I'm not sure where it's actually supposed to be playing, but it's Donkey Kong, the musical, the best musical, actually, according to the sign. So this is a Donkey Kong track, because this is like when Donkey Kong Fever is sweeping New York City. And of course, you get to drive through Central Park. You get to recreate the scene from Ghostbusters when Louis Tully is banging on the restaurant door there. Yeah, I'm not a New York native. I've only been to New York City a couple times in my life. What's amazing about New York City, though, and maybe this is just me, maybe this wouldn't be a universal experience. God, they're really shelling me today. Is that if you just drive into Manhattan, you can figure out where you are just based off cultural osmosis, just based off of your own knowledge of TV and movies, and you're like, oh, over there is where Kevin stayed in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. And then that must mean that's the Dakota. That's where John Lennon lived, and that's where The Exorcist took place. Or not The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, excuse me. The Exorcist took place in D.C., Washington, D.C. Anyway, some devil movie, I don't know. But yeah, it's really easy to find your way through New York, even if you're not from there. It's just if you watch a lot of TV. I can't speak to the accuracy of this layout, though. Of course, all of the tour city tracks are heavily condensed. But yeah, I love that there's an in-universe Donkey Kong musical. And it seems like it's based off of, the events of the arcade game. But just based off the sign there, I think it takes us into the modern era. It's kind of like... it might take us from Donkey Kong Arcade up through Donkey Kong Country, maybe? I don't know. I'd love to see, there's Burning DK vans, of course, providing folks in Manhattan with their extreme refreshment. I'd love to hear a song from Donkey Kong, the best musical, similar to how Marvel Studios did the Steve Rogers musical, and we saw like a little bit of it in Hawkeye. So yeah, that's now Diddy in on this track isn't that weird for me because of course he's been in tour for a very long time, and this is one of the first or one of the earliest city tracks in Mario Kart Tour. So that didn't feel that different for me. It just everything looks a lot more polished than it does on my phone. All right, the next Donkey Kong track then will be DK Summit from Mario Kart Wii. Now, this is one of the two famous snow tracks. Starting in Mario Kart DS and going to Mario Kart Wii, Donkey Kong was just arbitrarily assigned these snow tracks. These like resort in the mountain. And this one was even worse on Mario Kart Wii because there was just nothing really about Donkey Kong. They've since rectified that with Mario Kart Tour. They replaced the snowboarding Mario statue with a snowboarding Donkey Kong, which, fantastic. For those who care about this kind of stuff, which includes me and anybody who's as weird as I am, I do think DK Summit and DK Pass could take place in the Monkey Mountains from off of Donkey Kong Land. And that would make sense. The Monkey Mountains, if we're to go off of what Donkey Konga 2 established, they are their own little offshore islet off the coast of the main Donkey Kong Island, but part of the DK Isles. And, yeah, that game arguably took us back through the Donkey Kong Land offshore islets, and we saw there was a ski resort in the Monkey Mountains, which is arguably where we are now, which is why this is DK Summit. I know it's a stretch. The only thing they put in here related to Donkey Kong, there's the Burning DK billboard, the DK cannon, which is a big barrel cannon, which a lot of tracks have these nowadays, and of course, now we have the snowboarding Donkey Kong statue. But you know what? It does work. Donkey Kong Cannon is remarkably resilient to indifference because of the indifference, I would say. Because so few people have cared over the years, it somehow doesn't contradict itself, and sometimes you get these weird synchronicities that make it all work. I associate this track with Funky, though, since it's a Wii track. And this is kind of the extreme 90s vibe that Funky Kong relishes, even though it's outside of his typical domain of the beach. I do wish we had more than just Yoshis and Toads, Shy Guys all around here. Like, it would be nice if we could get some random Kongs in environments like this. You know, Donkey Kong Barrel Blast / Jet Race had their own, like, monkeys on the sidelines. I really like the design of them. They were a little bit like brown versions of the Capuchins from Jungle Beat, the helper monkeys or party monkeys. I like that. I like whenever we can get, like... That's what I liked about the Super Mario Brothers movie. The Ring of Kong sequence was we got all these just random-ass Kongs. Just showing that, like, there's far more to Kong society than just the same dozen we see in the games. Yeah, I'm not going to do the half pipe. I feel like the half pipe is... That just slows me down. Alright. Well, there's no way that car would be that shiny after driving over all of that snow. I'm sure gravel. No Name 999. I'm not gonna count the nines. No Name. I just call you No Name typically. Says that I wish it was the Snowmads that were the audience, and instead of snowboarding Shy Guys, they're Tucks instead. Yeah, Tropical Freeze unfortunately got the short straw when it came out, because it came out like right up next to Mario Kart 8, and I feel like Retro wasn't really being... It's not Retro's fault, but I feel like because they're a Western studio, there wasn't that level of collaboration between them and this game and Sakurai. And yeah, because it would make sense. Of course, this track wasn't in Mario Kart 8 originally, so they could have put Tux in here in the decade it's taken them to revamp it. But just speaking more broadly, yeah, we barely got any Tropical Freeze references in Smash. The Super Smash Bros. 4, Nintendo 3DS, and Wii U. And yeah, it just feels like we get Returns reference all the time because that is the bedrock foundation of everything Donkey Kong from 2010 on, minus things that K rule in Smash and stuff. But yeah, Tropical Freeze is just kind of overlooked. And Snowmads would make sense here, although I was going to say, they drove the Snowmads out, but the Tiki Tech tribe is defeated too, and you still get Tiki Goons wandering around DK Jungle. So you could always have a few Snowmads who just deserted, and they're just hanging out in the perpetually cold places of the DK Isles now. And we'll do Riverside Park next. Now, again, this might be contentious, Riverside Park, but Riverside Park is, in my mind, supposed to be a Donkey Kong track, or was supposed to be a Donkey Kong track in Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance, because it's very tonally similar to DK's Jungle Parkway. And I've explained this on our various conversation episodes that have skirted around this topic, including the Spotlight episode for Mario Kart Super Circuit earlier in this season, being season 11. I feel like it's set in the same park. And in fact, DK's Jungle Parkway is in Riverside Park. It's called Riverside Park. So yeah, I realize it doesn't have Donkey Kong in the name, but Fight Me, that and Lakeside Park are both Donkey Kong Island tracks. Now they've tweaked it a little bit for Mario Kart Tour and the Booster Course Pass, so it doesn't really give off some of the same vibes. And they added the little scurrying piranha plants. I forget what they're called. They have a specific name, but they could have just introduced that for the track. They're non-native plants. And thankfully, they don't, put down their roots, so it's not affecting the Congo jungle here. Of course, this track has been heavily reimagined, because before this was, it was a Super Circuit track. It was flat. And now we've got more winding terrain. Now, this does feel cool to have Diddy in here, given the associations with Super Circuit, which, of course, he was not in that game. And yes, this has been in Tour. Diddy Kong's been in Tour, so this isn't Diddy's first time here, but yeah, this cave, of course, was not in the Game Boy Advance version. So the question is, did they rebuild the track elsewhere in the park, or did they add all of this later? Did they build up the track in the last 20 years or so? Once Donkey Kong became the jungle hero and DK King of Swing, which is kind of like, not king, because that's an invention of the Mario movie, but it's the same principle. Oh, come on, calm down. The protector of DK Isle. Once he became jungle hero and King of Swing, I wonder if he started allocating more of the tax dollars to go to things like the upkeep of the parks, specifically the racetracks. I think about these things, don't you? This is a beautiful little track, though. Instead of the piranha plants, it would be nice if they were chomps. Not Chomps the shark, but chomp plants. Another invention of Retro Studios, although they arguably first appeared in, say it with me, Donkey Kong Country Barrel Maze. You could also make the case that the plants from Conker's Pocket Tales are an offshoot. You could make that case. I would. All right. So I think we're gonna go. This is also going to be contentious. Baby Park. Now, Baby Park is not a Donkey Kong track. It's not. It is not. I would never make that case. Diddy Kong is not a current baby, as that dismal, unofficial tie-in magazine for the Super Mario Brothers movie tried to claim he was. But in the original Mario Kart Double Dash, you can see DK Mountain in the background of Baby Park, which tied into my theory that DK Mountain was just a theme park recreation of the Congo jungle, sort of a land within Mario Land, whatever this theme park is. I say it might be Mario Land as seen in Mario Party 2, but anyway, yeah, we got this baby park, and you can see DK Mountain in the distance, similar to how you can see the big golden temple head for the Donkey Kong Country section of Super Nintendo World in the distance of Universal Studios in Osaka right now. You could just see it from afar. You can see it from the Harry Potter castle. So, or I guess Hogwarts. I don't. What do you call it? Anyway, so you can see DK Mountain from this version of Baby Park, but maybe it's just a little bit cloudy today. Maybe there's just a little bit of smog. I like to think it's still there. Let me take a sip of this delicious Red Bull because I am starting to choke on my own Fannin. And that's refreshing. I hate Baby Park, by the way. It's my least favorite track. Most Bankin says, when do you think we'll see Diddy Kong Racing and Donkey Kong 64 added to NSO? Hopefully, as soon as possible. I can't really say. It would be lovely, wouldn't it? I was hoping it was going to be in the September Direct, but it wasn't. Current baby Diddy Kong. Baby Park. Let's go. This is a fun idea for a track. I just always hated the execution. Of course, this seemed very novel when Double Dash came out, just having a lot of short little tracks and the ability to just quickly lap people, and it's designed to be chaos. The problem is, I feel like the item imbalance in Double Dash, where items were just so disruptive to the actual racing. And some people will disagree with me, but I really feel like it kind of broke just being able to race in Mario Kart. And they really balanced, they tweaked it for this game. And I think starting in Mario Kart 7, that's really when they started to rebalance Mario Kart, so it wasn't just pure chaos. You could actually use racing again to your benefit. So I don't mind Baby Park as much in Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It was really just Double Dash that... It just became like the epitome of what Double Dash was to me. But yeah, in the original you could see DK Mountain, the volcano, in the background. Same as Dino Dino Jungle, which meant Dino Dino Jungle was also part of this cohesive land, be it a theme park or what have you. I think Diddy Kong's gonna win. I think he's gonna win this imaginary cup. Alright, and then the last track, of course, it's going to be DK Mountain. DK Mountain from off of Double Dash, the aforementioned. And this one was one of the last, not one of the last, but relatively towards the end of the new content in Mario Kart Tour. One of the last tracks to be added. And it got a little bit of a makeover there. But I really like the way it looks in this one. And this is my first time playing on it, so they've definitely toned down the cartoony aspects of this track, where it used to be everything would have eyes on it. Everything would have a face, including the trees, the clouds, the sun. And it just didn't really work for a Donkey Kong track. And I know some of you are going to be like, but how? Oh, see, they have trees. Those trees, though, look a little bit more organic there. I don't like that they have eyes, but whatever. They look like, I don't know, the creepy Mortal Kombat forest. But yeah, for me, Donkey Kong works best when it's cartoony, but it's got a sense of realism. It's got a gravitas to it. And when everything is just goofy cartoon, it's not Donkey Kong anymore. And I know the DKU, infamously embraces googly eyes. And we have trees with faces like Trunker in Banjo-Kazooie. But that's Banjo-Kazooie. That's not Donkey Kong. And that's part of my problem with Donkey Kong 64 is it feels like it took too much from Banjo-Kazooie and not enough of Donkey Kong's own identity. But this looks lovely. I've always liked this track. I just didn't like the presentation. And now they've added all these little DK barrels along the side. The little, like, rope bridge. That's fun. This used to be called the Donkey Cannon, which sounds lurid. It sounds perverse. And I'm a pervert, so that's fine, but DK Cannon probably sounds like less like something you would have to pay for at some seedy performance. Wonder if you can see Baby Park down there. Probably not. So yeah, you could make the case that this could feel comfortably like it took place on Donkey Kong Island, but because of Double Dash and what Double Dash laid down, I'm still of the opinion that this is part of the Donkey Kong Island Congo Jungle section in Mario Land. But I realized that's never going to be on Mario Wiki's page for this, so that's fine. And I do associate this track with Diddy because, of course, Double Dash was the game he was introduced in the Mario Kart series, and my issues with Double Dash notwithstanding, I really like the concepts of Double Dash. I like that Double Dash has this team-up mechanic, which I think is really fun. That's my cup of tea. That's what I like to see in games, like co-op and just partnerships, and I don't know, it's great. I'm trying to get a better look at those birds. They're not like parrots, are they? They're not like squawks, probably not. Imagine if Squawks was in this game, though. Trying to get a better look at them, but it's hard. Okay. We might look at the replay and see if we can get any closer look at the wildlife. Of course, they have Yoshis jumping up down there. I wish they were the monkeys from Barrel Blast and Toads, and get, I don't know, get Swanky Kong on the side there. Everybody loves Swanky Kong again. Yeah, I really like the way they changed the face of the volcano. That works for me. view the highlight reel. Remember, we're gonna go slow-mo. Ooh, look at him go. This is what I dream of at night. Diddy Kong driving a sweet Mercedes, rocketing over the jungle as a volcano erupts in his face. This is the fucking life right here, my friends. You think that he's just like, wow, you know, here I am. Like, I'm getting shot out of a massive cannon over an expansive jungle as a volcano erupts. But this isn't even in my top 10 crazy events in my life. Dude went to outer space and fought a pig. He went to outer space multiple times. He went to outer space and befriended an alien banana. Like, I went to an apple orchard yesterday, and I feel pretty content that I had an amazing adventure. Diddy's seen things. He's done it all. All right, look at that bird. I think the birds are white. Are they seagulls? Come on, Diddy, get out of the way. I'm trying to look at the bird. I like the way his fur looks in this game. Like, it's a little bit more understated than Donkey Kong's own fur in the game, but oh, tragedy. That's what it looks like when Diddy Kong gets miniaturized by lightning. Hello to Me Muppet and Observer's Twitch in the chat. I love those DK barrels. Look at the nice wood texture on that. That's some good DK barrel design. Diddy showing off his crotch. We get it. We get it. Good for you. You don't have to wear pants. I've never jumped on one of those like swinging rope bridges while not wearing pants. I've always had pants on, believe it or not. Yes, Diddy Kong. The real American. Right, view results. Just. There's a little made-up trophy for this. Ooh, a new vehicle customization option has been unlocked. It's not going to be a Donkey Kong one, though. Cat Peach finished 4th place. She doesn't even get a podium spot. Oh, Diddy's in Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8, like, Deluxe. That's... feels good. Feels good. This also feels good, though. There he is. There's Funky, everyone. Yeah! Wow, what vehicle did I unlock? Oh, I got the Cat Cruiser. How adorable. Gonna not go with the Cat Cruiser. Yeah, I think... While I think Funky would respect the German engineering of the Mercedes... I think he would go for something a little bit more rustic, a little bit more stripped down. City Tripper, that might work, but what other options do we have? Oh, the Flame Rider. Yeah, that or the varmint. I think the Flame Rider is calling the Funky right now. I don't think Funky has to compensate that much, so we're gonna... I don't know if slick tires are the way to go. Wow, these look ridiculous. The button looks absurd. Off-road. Yeah, that off-road suits Funky just fine. And we're gonna go with the plane glider, of course, befitting the entrepreneur of Funky's flights. Let's go again! Woo! Alright, back to the Banana Cup, back to DK Jungle. Most Bankins and Me Muppet and Porygon, they're all complimenting Funky Kong. Porygon says, Funky in the Flame Rider, let's go. Me Muppet says, Funky looks good on a scooter. Funky looks good in everything, let's be honest. And Most Bankins says, Funky looks like a badass. And this is Funky in DK Jungle. This is a first. DK Jungle is not in Mario Kart Tour. So this is also doubly exciting for me because Funky Kong was not in Donkey Kong Country Returns. So to have him in this environment, the closest we got was Homecoming Hijinks in Tropical Freeze, which doesn't really count. So this is Funky in Donkey Kong Country Returns, essentially. I seldom use the bikes in this game, so this is... Oh, this feels weird. I love Funky. And I've talked about this before, but I love how Funky was even in Mario Kart Wii at all. It's so... I think we take for granted now that it happened, but at the time it was just... Oh, that looks so good. At the time, it was just out of nowhere, and Funky really wasn't the household name he is today. Funky was... Obviously, if you're a fan of Donkey Kong Country games, or Donkey Kong 64, you would really like Funky, but... He was just a supporting character. And... I don't know if the team picked him because he was the mechanic of the Kongs. Like, in my headcanon, he was the one who made all the custom carts for them in the first place, but it works. I mean, out of any Donkey Kong character, Funky Kong being in a kart racer makes just absolute perfect sense. And they did it. And that, of course, that boosted Funky Kong's stock to the point where we got things like New Funky Mode and Kenan Thompson is Funky on SNL, and I just love stories like that where you have this minor character who really you wouldn't think would survive beyond his initial appearances. I mean, he started off as a pastiche of 90s surfing culture, almost a parody of it. And I realized, like, I feel like 90s surfing culture hit the UK a little bit later than it did the States. So it was already kind of out of date by 1994. Like, we had moved on to grunge by then, right? And, yet Funky's risen above it. He's evolved as a character. You still have that element of his character, but he's so much more than that. And he is one of the most nuanced, fleshed out characters in all of Nintendo. Like, not just the DKU, but all of Nintendo. And I just really like that story. I think that Funky is what we should all aspire to be. We should all aspire to be more than society tells us we're supposed to be. We can all be the hero. We can all be the superstar, as Funky Kong proves. I wish I could be as confident as Funky is. Just lounging about on a surfboard while riding a motorcycle through a jungle. Oh, Funky's a lot of fun. Like, I know Diddy is primarily what I'm excited about because it's Diddy, because it's my favorite character of all time, and because he is the character I have been wanting in Mario Kart 8 for 9.5 years, but Funky's a lot of fun to play. That felt good. That felt right. It felt proper. The balance in the universe is restoring itself. Chris. I saw Chris jump on. He's in my friends list and jumped on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Chris says, I've been looking at the DK Mountain Birds in time trial mode. They are green. We're going to get to the bottom of this before the end of the stream. Most Bankin says, I could just see them add Kiddy Kong in his baby onesie blowing around in the wind. Yeah, when Kiddy jumps, he pulls on his bottoms. He pulls on the legs and... Chris says, update, the birds give out hawk cries. So I think they're not squawks, but they're green hawks. But are they rocks from Donkey Kong Country Returns? I don't think they fly, though. Me Muppet says, I've been playing Mario Kart 8 since the Wii U, and it still looks fantastic. I really wonder what Mario Kart 9 will bring. Here's the thing about Mario Kart 9. Diddy better be in the base game. Because I'm not waiting around another decade of my life for this. Alright. Funky Kong takes Manhattan, everyone. Let's go. Or if the chat is involved, we'll say Me Muppet takes Manhattan. Because, movie. All right. Another thing that really, I think, gets lost to the memory hole and just it being what we're used to is how weird it is that Funky's Donkey Kong Country 3 design is what became the universal standard for him. It, like, of course I love Donkey Kong Country 3, I adore it, I will defend it to my dying breath, but it's the one that doesn't get brought up that often in comparison to the first two, especially to the first one. And you would think, oh, Funky Kong, he's going to be like he looks in Donkey Kong Country or Country 2, just ready for surfing. But they went with the mechanic thing for him, and I think that's perfect. I think if you want just a universal standard of Funky, a lot more is communicated with his mechanic look than with the beach bum. I do miss the days where the Kongs could, you know, actually change their clothing. Or rather, the supporting Kongs could. But if we have to be married to one look for the rest of time, I think this is amazing that they picked this one. And if Super Mario Brothers movie is any indication, which I don't know if it is, should we ever get Swanky Kong making regular appearances again, he will also look like he does in DKC 3. The Super Nintendo version, at least, because he went back to his DKC2 coat in the Game Boy Advance remake of DKC3, which, I don't know. It's one of the decisions in that game I was unhappy about. Even though I do like his DKC2 look better. Yeah. New York Minute's surprisingly short in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The city tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, for those who have never played Tour, they basically combine all the different iterations of the city track, because you'll have things like New York Minute 1, New York Minute 2, New York Minute 3, and they'll take you through different parts of the city. And this one kind of combines that all into one race, and that's why you have those weird red arrows pointing you, because the whole map is there, but you're only supposed to stick to the particular route. I feel like New York Minute, there are longer variations of it in Tour than what we got here. Is the amalgamation. Okay, what's next? Oh, is it DK Summit? Yep, DK Summit. Like I said, this one I associate heavily with Funky, so this is going to be more of a homecoming hijinks, if you will, than it will be anything new and novel. I feel like I will be doing the half pipes now, though. I feel like Funky's definitely more of a 1080 snowboarding kind of guy than Diddy. Okay, that's disorienting. I shouldn't have done it like that. I'm just embracing. Oh, come on, Bullet Bill. You didn't have to do it like that. Okay, see, the half pipe really screwed me up. Now I've fallen so far behind. Now I'm back with the Rift Raft. Okay, now I'm in first place again. I forgot I did put it on easy, didn't I? Look at those really flat versions of the characters in the stance. Some of this doesn't look great, but for all the complaints about how the new tracks looked in comparison to the base tracks, I think they've polished it out well enough. I still think this looks really good. Mario, like it was said in the chat, Mario Kart 8 still looks pretty impressive, and that's probably because just of our low standards for Mario Kart games. But yeah, I do hope they keep, whenever we do get a Mario Kart 9 or whatever they call it, I do hope they keep the sort of trending towards realism aesthetic, which of course I'm naturally in favor of because of Donkey Kong Country, but it was just really cool to see a more tangible look at Mushroom Kingdom environments that felt more plausible than we had seen in the more like pastel-soaked Mario Kart games of the GameCube and Wii. So yeah, the DK cannon, got one here, we got one on DK Mountain, and we actually have other barrel cannons in some other tracks as well, like Yoshi Valley. They added like a proper barrel cannon to that. So I like to think that the Kongs, Donkey Kong Island, whatever, they make deals with some of these places. Oh, you want a barrel cannon? Okay, we will lease you a barrel cannon. Here you go. I do wish DK Pass was in this as well. Obviously, if you're going to pick one, I think DK Summit is the sexier option. But I like that DK Pass is more of a just mountain road, and the like resort only comes in at the very end. There's something a little bit more novel and dangerous about driving on a wintry road up in the mountains versus kind of the more closed-in environment of the resort. But, whatever. I also wish Lakeside Park was in here, because both DK Pass and Lakeside Park were added to Tour. but we didn't get those versions in this booster course pass, which like you could have kept the booster pass course going. You could have had a wave 7 with all the content from tour that you had to pick from, but it seems like they were bizarrely selective. I don't really know. But here, we're taking Funky to Riverside Park next. Chris says, by the way, Diddy has 4 fingers and a thumb in this. Well, I mean, yeah. That's been the case since Toadstool Tour. But yes, prosthetic golfing fingers can double as prosthetic karting fingers. That just makes sense. They're great for golf, they're great for driving, they're great for swinging from vines. That's why Diddy bought some for all of his friends. Including the Diddy Kong Racing characters, apparently. When I was playing Riverside Park on the Game Boy Advance, had you ever told me that one day I would get to play on it as Funky Kong, I wouldn't have believed you. His Jesus Christ pose is something else, isn't it? Of course, there's the weird thing they sell on Etsy where it is a crucified Funky Kong with a like fake golden relief that you can put on your wall and offend your family. I love how wet the track looks. Like just an appropriate amount of wetness for the nearby waterfall. Like the spray from it soaking the ground. It's accurate. Ah, come on with the spiny shells. I don't feel like I get nearly as many spiny shells when I play in Grand Prix mode than I do here in Versus. And yeah, for those who don't know, you can see Funky's little emblem there. That is apparently the official emblem of Funky's flights or whatever umbrella corporation owns all of Funky's different enterprises. That debuted in Mario Kart Wii, and it was also used in Mario Kart Tour as his emblem, and of course it's his emblem in this game, but it also made an appearance in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. In the background, you can see the plane that you fight in the first boss fight of the game against Pompey. And so that emblem has also been used in a Donkey Country game. So it is through and through canon that it is Funky Kong's his little logo. Okay, we doing Baby Park next, I guess. Where's Baby Park? I forget where. There's Baby Park. We're gonna do Baby Park. course, Funky Kong is not a current baby, so... It's a shame that there isn't more thought put into some things like Super Nintendo World, because you could easily make Baby Park a reality in Super Nintendo World. Like, I understand if you want a Mario Kart attraction, you want to sort of encapsulate everything about the Mario Kart experience and not a particular track, but like, they handed this to you. It's a theme park. You could make this a reality, a faithful recreation. And I understand why you don't want to do that. Same reason why your Donkey Kong roller coaster, you want to do a mine cart versus the roller coaster seen in Donkey Kong Country 2, but it's one of those things where it's just a shame there isn't an infinite amount of time, space, and money. I have no idea what's happening right now. People are going by me, but they're in... like, all these bullet bills are just... but they're all just far back, hence why they're getting bullet bill items. Oh, now I'm gonna get blue shelled again. Right before the finish... no, not right before the finish line. I have one more lap. I like the strobing effect when you hit the final lap. That's actually really cool. Alright. Alright, DK Mountain, everyone. Let's go to DK Mountain, and we're gonna try to get a look at what those birds look like. Alright? If we have to go to time trial afterwards, we will. I promise you we'll get a good look at those birds somehow. I love the DK Mountains in the Acorn Cup. It's a nice little tribute to everyone's favorite DKU character, Forrest Wong. See, the birds look white, unless there's also white birds in addition to the green ones. They're probably not squawks. They're and even if they, like, could we make the argument that one of them was squawks if they look like squawks, or would they just be random ass parrots on Donkey Kong Island, or what's supposed to represent Donkey Kong Island? And if this is really a theme park, would they be animatronic squawks? These are the questions that keep me up at night, people. This is why I developed chronic fatigue, not from overworking myself, but from my brain being moronic. I feel like this is the kind of environment Funky really does like. Like, he supposedly doesn't like going on adventures, at least not initially. But I think he is also a thrill seeker, so... I think once he's thrust into it, he's, like, having a good time. So if you could bust open some of those DK barrels right now, like, theoretically... would Dixie pop out? Would Kitty? Or since Donkey and Diddy aren't here at the moment, would you free them? Or are they just empty DK barrels waiting to be filled by a Kong? So it's a bit weird that they're all DK barrels, yeah? little barrel variety might be nice. See, now I'm finding things to nitpick. Now I'm finding things to complain about that don't really need to be complained about. Like maybe a star barrel, maybe a TNT barrel, maybe a clobber runs out and chases ya. Nope, no Kong's in there. I tried to give us Kitty Kong, everyone, and Kitty Kong was not in there. I'm sorry. I can confirm that Kitty Kong is not in Wave 6 of the Booster Course Pass. To say I really like using the bike. I've never been a bike person in Mario Kart, but it feels good. I don't know if it's Funky or if it's the bike. I mean, obviously Funky always feels good. Funky always feels good, but man, really take the turns, can't you? Days of Matt says they're filled with the DK Jr. clones from Double Dash and Game & Watch Gallery. Yeah, of course. I'm sure there are people out there. You know, I'm going on, oh, it's a shame Dixie couldn't get in. And then others would be, oh, why couldn't Donkey Kong Jr. get in? And that's a whole barrel of worms. But, you know, because Mario Kart Tour did bring back Donkey Kong Jr., but he was presented as a retro sprite from the Super Nintendo game rather than a contemporary new model. And so that kind of skirts the issue of, is the current Donkey Kong an adult Donkey Kong Jr.? What's the deal there? You just overlook it. But I'm sure some people wish that version came into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And I'm good. I don't need that, but let's view the highlight reel. I love the stink eye Funky gives. Oh, you passed me? Oh, we'll see about that. Oh. This is cinema right here. If Scorsese saw this, he would have no complaints. Wow, Wendy kind of looks terrifying up close. Oh my god, she's angry. She's getting her revenge. Funky, watch out, buddy. Watch out. Wow, they're really ramping up the drama here. Funky, this is like the Zapruder footage. Oh! The president has been shot, everyone. It's like one of those inflatable tube people at the car dealership. Oh, Wendy's happy now. We'll see how happy she gets as the race progresses. Funky just dragging a banana peel. He's so smug, but in a way that you can't hate him for it. It's the weird paradox of Funky. like, yeah, you know what? You've earned it. You've earned that degree of self-confidence. Because, he doesn't, like, use it to elevate himself over anyone else. If anything, he pulls you up with him. Almost looked like he was going to eat the banana there for a second. Some of this isn't meant to be seen in slow motion. Breaks the illusion of Mario Kart completely. And you just see the items sort of hover behind the cart, or things clip through the characters. The coin just bisected him, and yet he feels no pain. He only grows stronger. These are really the best highlights? You gotta show me Mario Kart? There we go. There's an action shot. This is like when you get your picture taken at the climax of the roller coaster. You try to compose yourself, but you're gonna look like an idiot. I wonder how long it took Funky to like rehearse this to get it just right. Of course, that's the floating surfboard from Tropical Freeze, or rather, I mean, he's had that technology since DKC 2, but I think that's the specific one from Tropical Freeze. What a weird character. What a weird timeline we live in that this character has endured for almost 30 years. Think about all these other characters from the 1990s who have not stuck around, and yet Funky Kong has endured as an icon. Good for him. I know the American flag is only there because that is the country in which I reside, but it's still weird. A weird juxtaposition to see the name Funky Kong next to the stars and stripes. This is Funky Kong's O face, isn't it? Alright. Let's view the results. Gee, I wonder who won. What? Funky? Woo! A new vehicle customization option has been unlocked. Days of Matt says, well, hold on. Chris says he's taking ownership of the Toothy Grin Jackass meme in relation to Funky's icon. But yeah, but when Funky does it, he's not a jackass. He's just earnest. He's just Funky. He's fine to grin. Days of Matt says Funky somehow looks better than DK does in this game. Yeah, I don't know if his model is better. I still think Donkey has like the more polished model, but I think Funky, his expressions, his animation, he always looks good in this. And Me Muppet says, love the floating surfboard. I agree. It's a great little cross-continuity touch. And Gibbon says, I miss the trophy ceremony. Yeah, I do too. I really like that's one of my complaints about Mario Kart 8 is they eliminated the whole podium scene. I would really like a scene where, you know, Funky can like spray champagne on Wendy and Kamek there, you know? But the rest of the game, like, the rest of the game looks great, so it's one of those things where I feel bad complaining about that, but if I could go in there and change a couple things, having a full, proper podium sequence would be one of them. Alright. I love you, Funky, but Diddy's my guy. Ooh, the hot monster. That's what Funky Kong's penis is referred. So we're gonna go back to the GLA. We're going to those are ridiculous. We're gonna go to standard, and we're gonna go to just the super glider. All right, let's get a good look at these birds, shall we? This is not me trying to set a time trial, by the way. This is me just trying to get a look at the environments here. See if I can break every DK barrel. Kitty's got to be in one of them, right? No, no, no. Alright. Lakitu's not as fun. TT. And of course, they did add the DK insignia logo to the side of the Donkey Cannon / DK Cannon. But, again... Oh, did a barrel just respawn? Oh, yeah, they're dropping down. They're dropping down. The race stewards are replenishing the barrels as soon as Diddy breaks them. As soon as Diddy gets out of the way, they drop down. Oh, no, you can just stand there, and it can rain barrels. That's awesome. Alright, so the cannon is... They made it look like a DK barrel, but the problem is barrel cannons aren't DK barrels. So, what? I mean, I get it for branding purposes, but that's not what a DK barrel is. But that's probably, again, if this is a theme park and not the real Congo jungle. Gibbon, she's probably screaming at me in the chat right now. It's fine. This is fun. Let's just do this for the next 2 hours. Who's with me? And you can see from inside the DK barrel, everyone. Now you know what it feels like to be a Kong. Right here. This is what it feels like to be Kitty while you're waiting to break free. Somewhere in the Kremwood Forest. Just rat, like, bang on the inside of that. Point of view, you are Kitty Kong. Alright. Love those banana trees, too. Oh, you see a bird's nest up there. Shit! Look at that. Look at that. There's a bird's nest up there. That's an amazing touch. Now I really got to get a look at these birds. So much detail has been added to this. Okay. See, am I colorblind, or are they... Are they just white? Okay, they're like gray. So they're just... Yeah, they're just like... hawks, or maybe they're greenish gray. I can't... Where'd you go? Where'd you go, little bird? No clock to tell me otherwise. I'm driving in reverse. Diddy looked so mischievous there. Alright, there he is. Come on, camera. But yeah, they do definitely cry out when you're... Mimi. Greenish, but definitely not a parrot. Definitely not in relation to squawks. Well, we solved that mystery, though, and that felt good. And they have a nest, and that's really cool. Yeah. Just destroy these DK barrels. Man, they don't waste any time replenishing them, though. I think there'd be a little bit of a cooldown. I feel like this is one of those games you have to, like, destroy all three before one can reset. Also love the colors here. The yellow, green, and red. So 5 minutes for the first lap, 5.5 minutes by the end. It's not bad, considering I was bird watching. Alright, let's go back and look at these trees. Because yeah, they did keep some of the beady-eyed trees, but as you can see, they made it look more like just like the volcano, they made it look more like it's either a natural occurrence or like somebody carved the tree to look like that. Like they cut off a branch to look like a nose. There's a notch in there that looks like a mouth. Two little notches that look like eyes. Could just be a coincidence. Considering that they're painted, though, it looks like something that would have been done by the inhabitants of the jungle. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. That's a cool recontextualization from how they were originally presented, which was just as beady-eyed idiots. Just terrible faces. Just like the volcano looks a lot cooler now, in my opinion, that it looks like it's just more of just a coincidence that it looks like a face. A craggly little face with angry eyes and a sour mouth. I do like that bird, though. We need a neon avatar of that bird all in the DK Vine form. Get to work. Whoever makes neon avatars these days. It's never been me. Damn. Diddy's in Mario Kart 8, everyone. I mean, not the Wii U version. Sorry. Alright, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. I'll read them out here in a bit. If you could get one Diddy Kong Racing character in a surprise bonus Wave 7 of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which Diddy Kong Racing character would it be? You don't have to worry about any of the rights issues. Don't have to worry about, oh, Microsoft owns that character. Don't have to worry about it. Let's just make believe. Pretend land, everyone. Which one Diddy Kong Racing character, sans Diddy. And you know what? We're gonna exclude Dixie and Tiny too. Not pulling from Diddy Kong Racing DS, just the original Diddy Kong Racing. Which Diddy Kong Racing character would you most want to be added to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Just pretend. It can be Banjo. It can be Conker. It's fine. 8 minutes. New world record. Porygon says frog drumstick, and Chris says yellow dinosaur. I hate you both. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. I love you. You just went with the silly answers, and that's fine because that's what I would do. Because you have to subvert expectations for humor. March Rose says banjo. Pikmin Pro says banjo. Yeah, I felt like banjo was gonna be everybody's choice, or Conqueror as an outlier, but maybe somebody would say TT. Maybe somebody would say Timber. I don't know. Pipsy. There's Pipsy fans out there. Let's take Diddy somewhere else. We've done the Tour de Kong. Let's run Diddy through some of the new tracks beyond DK Mountain today. We're just gonna do some time trials. That's all this is. We've got Madrid. We've got. Let's do Rome, since this has some associations with Donkey Kong, since this is the track in Mario Kart Tour that debuted with Donkey Kong (Gladiator), the one costume for variant costume for a Donkey Kong character in that game, unless you count Donkey Kong Jr. SNES. Yeah, Diddy is in Italy. Diddly. Yeah, let's run Diddy through some of the new tracks and maybe some of the city tracks, because I still have some left in my tank. I'm not done enjoying Diddy. This is a celebration stream. This is all we're doing, is just celebrating that Diddy and Funky are in this damn game at long last. Oh, little Monty Mole action there. I want to take Diddy to London for sure. It's as close as we can get to Twycross. It's about a two-hour drive from London, if I recall. I don't know. I was busy throwing up at the time. Throwing up into Steve from off of Rare Gamers' Subway bag. Because when I went to Rare in 2016, flew into Heathrow, and this was, overnight flight. And the flight itself was fine. It was lovely. But arrived at Heathrow in the early morning. Oh! That was a sharp turn. And a few of us flew into Heathrow, including Steve. And so we met our driver, and I think I was the first to arrive, so I had like a couple hours to kill. So I went to a cafe, got a coffee, what have you, and then picked us up, and we were all jet lagged and exhausted. And the town car or town van, whatever, that picked us up, of course, had some seats facing backwards, and I got one of the backwards seats because I was like, what could be wrong? Driving backwards out of London, and the windows were partially down in the van, so the fumes from the highway were coming in, and so between the fumes and the motion sickness of driving backwards, I apparently can't be driven backwards. I got desperately nauseous and had to throw up, and threw up in the empty Subway bag that Steve had on him. And then Olivier, another person on the trip with us, he also got violently ill, mostly because I got violently ill, and he also threw up in my sick bag, and so our vomits intertwined. And then I got to the hotel in Birmingham and threw up in the bin outside. It was a great way to start that trip. Gibbon says, excluding Banjo and Conquer because those answers are way too obvious. Crunch and or Pipsy. TT is overrated. Get out. You don't say that in my house, that TT is overrated. TT is family. But I do like the crunch answer. That's good. Days of Matt says either Banjo or Taj. Chris says, I'm going to say Wizpig is my serious answer, and want him to become Rosalina's version of Bowser. Until DKR, Earth was unaware of the chaos. Wizpig was wreaking havoc on the cosmos like Thanos, but Rosalina knew. Piranha Plant Cove is a cool track. This one, you know, doesn't have... This bugs me. Only the city tracks have the tour tag on them, but Piranha Plant Cove is... I guess the idea is that they are shared tracks between Mario Kart Tour and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because they had an eye on the Booster Course Pass, even when developing them, and so that's what justified the Booster Course Pass in the first place, was all this development being done for Mario Kart Tour. Why not double dip? But yeah, it technically appeared in Tour first. It's not just an original track that's appearing for the first time today. Just a little small gripe. Mario Kart Tour, of course, it's not, you know, an amazing game, but it deserves some credit. I think it doesn't get enough credit for what it's brought to Mario Kart. This is a fun little, I mean, it's obviously very Mario-centric, but it feels like it could be, with a little bit of clever reskinning, a Donkey Kong track. It feels evocative of some of the places in Barrel Blast. It even has a little bit of the Diddy Kong Racing, Darkwater Beach vibe to it. Just a little bit. In that it's a beach at night. But you so seldom see stuff like this. I don't know if you know this about me, but I really, really like the character of Diddy Kong. There are people out there who think he's like Scrappy-Doo, and I just don't understand that opinion. I don't... I'm not seeing what you're seeing. Or maybe you're just not seeing what I'm seeing, but... And maybe it's because I had the benefit of, like, basically growing up alongside Diddy. Like, his little journey that Rare took him on. Just like a nice, complete, compact character arc. It just coincided with me growing up. So I feel a lot of resonance with this character in particular. And I like monkeys. Monkeys are funny. There's just a lot to like about Diddy. From him going from, like, the nervous, anxiety-riddled sidekick, wannabe hero, to an actual hero, to the star of his own game, to just this little cocksure, little bratty teenager, Donkey Kong 64, to just kind of Donkey Kong's contemporary, as we saw in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Subspace Emissary. They were just fighting side by side together, kind of like when Robin becomes Nightwing in the Batman comics. And I love that his relationship with Dixie Kong is just so matter of fact. It's never mined for anything, for any drama. It's just, oh yeah, they're a couple. That's it. No, I don't want to upload that. These are all rubbish. I'm just playing as Diddy Kong and talking about it. These aren't worthy of saving Ghost. Chris says, based on the statues, I would say this is unofficially P.D. Piranha's track. I could see that. Chris says, this track is probably my favorite out of Wave 6. I could see that as well. Let's go to Spain. Now, Piranha Plant Cove has a little bit of Sea of Thieves vibes. Although it's far easier to see at night. It's in the shores of plenty if you like boosted the contrast dramatically. So Madrid was the final city track added to Mario Kart Tour, which was a shame. It was a shame because that Whaler's gonna wake up. I feel like there's so many other cities I wanted to see them tackle. There's more Piranha Plants here than Piranha Plant Cove, ironically enough. I wanted them to go to Rio so badly. I thought that would have been an amazing track. Okay, let's look at the art here in the museum. You can only see this a little bit in Tour because you're basically on rails in Tour, and you can't just stop and admire the artwork. Oh my god, these are great little vintage pieces. That one, I remember that one because I had the Nintendo Power Super Mario Bros. 3 Proto Player's Guide. I don't think they called them... They weren't like Player's Guide yet. It was magazine format, but it was the Player's Guide for Super Mario Bros. 3. Blooper, Piranha Plants. I wish I could like hack into this game and replace these with like Cameron and Dustin's artwork. Alright. And that's something you seldom see in like modern Mario Kart games, are just those throwback art pieces. I wonder like if there was a Donkey Kong game that would utilize that, what rendered scenes they would use from Rare and Retro, Payon. Of course, if they were using the Rare ones, they would have to have probably the assets, and who knows how many they actually have of those. But yeah, I wanted Rio. I was like surprised we didn't get, I don't know, Beijing, or obviously some cities are like political minefields to even acknowledge at this time, so I can see why they skirted over some, but Cairo, that would have been a fun track. Oh. So in Tour, you want to hit those soccer balls because that won't spin you out. It'll actually add to your combo, and it's good to make contact with the soccer balls. I don't know what they would do here in 8 Deluxe. They would probably just crush you or spin you out. But at first I was like, oh, gotta hit the soccer balls. And I was like, wait, this isn't Tour. That could be a bad thing. Desmad says, I'm surprised we didn't get any South American tracks. Yeah, like I said, there is a huge Nintendo fandom in South America that I don't feel like is embraced enough. And I see that from my metrics, from DK Vine. A large part of our audience, like significant that I can say it's large, is in South America. And a large part of that is because like Western style, like cartoon characters have never went out of fashion there. So Donkey Kong, Banjo, they're tremendously popular, like in Brazil, and there is a fervent Rare fan there, in addition to Nintendo. All right, city tracks. Let's Let's go to LA. LA, yeah. We're gonna go to E3, everyone. Diddy Kong is gonna be at E3. Kevin Callahan, get your blog ready. Diddy Kong's attending E3. This is probably the city track that resonates the most with me because I did live in Los Angeles for a time. And of course, I've gone to Los Angeles like nearly every year of my life after leaving Los Angeles up till 2019. So, like, I know all of these sites. I've been to all of these places. So to have like this little weird truncated version of LA, I obviously see like how artificial it is, but I just love the attention to detail and how it does kind of sync up if you squint. Squint really hard, but I could buy this as Diddy Kong driving through Los Angeles for sure. So yeah, we're coming up. They call it the Mario Expo in Los Angeles because this is the LA Convention Center. This is the outside of the LACC right here, but it's a nice little tribute to E3, of which, of course, Nintendo is at every E3 through 2019, and most of those, the bulk of those after the 90s took place at the LACC, and of course, you know, Nintendo was always stationed in the same place. They had a very specific bathroom they would go to. I found it, and Nintendo urinals. I would stake those out. Never saw Miyamoto there, but Miyamoto would be urinating there. Not to be weird about it, but I figured out where Miyamoto was peeing, and I've never driven through the oil fields, but I have passed them several times. Boy, that's weird. That's an aspect you don't really know about unless you live in LA, because they don't broadcast that there are just these massive oil fields in Los Angeles until you get there, and you're like, what the hell is that? I think the only time we've ever seen that really acknowledged in outside media was Arrested Development Season 3. They had a joke where you think they've gone to Iraq, and then it turns out they're just driving to LAX, and they're next to the oil fields. I was like, oh, I get that. There's a lot of insular LA jokes in Arrested Development, though. Diddy Kong attends E3 and can't even get in. It's just been a story of his life. Porygon says, South America has way more people than North America. Yeah, I mean, but also there's, I think, a deeper rare fandom that persists there than there is in North America. Like, populace be damned, just cultural norms have made it so that they've never lost their love for Donkey Kong Country. And, let's see... Chris has a little story to share. Greg Mayles once paid for me to take a psychic reading on Venice Beach for his own amusement. Cameron's here. Hi, Cameron. Cameron just had a birthday, everyone. Everybody wish Cameron happy birthday. Cameron says, Diddy P in LA. No, I said Diddy in a GLA. We have good times here. No, I don't want to upload that. Because I'm not trying. I'm just talking while playing as Diddy Kong, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You need to respect my decisions here. Let's go to Vancouver, where they filmed the X-Files. Although I don't know if any episodes of the X-Files actually took place in Vancouver. A lot of times it would double as my stomping grounds, Virginia, since most X-Files episodes started in Washington, D.C., and then they would either go into Virginia or go into Maryland. Famously, the episode where Scully was abducted by aliens in Season 2 took place at the Skyland Resort, and Skyland is actually a part of Shenandoah National Park. Does not look like it did in the X-Files, but I've hiked up by Skyland numerous times. No chairlift, though. This suspension bridge is fun. I do like what they did with Vancouver here, giving it sort of a more wintry feel. Obviously, it's Canada, so that's probably easier to do, but kind of serves as a bonus little holiday-themed track, in addition to the just straight-up Christmas track they added via Tour and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I'll try that out before the stream's over, but I don't like it as much as Frosty Village, Diddy Kong Racing. There, I said it. Because the great thing about Frosty Village is that it just feels like a village that just so happens to be during the holidays. Whereas, was it Merry Mountain? It just feels like it is a perpetual Santa land. It doesn't feel like it ever stops being Santa land. Where Frosty Village, I could definitely see them taking down their lights like the first week of January. So it feels more special. It feels earned. It feels like one of those little Dickens villages that you put up on your table. Which, I admit, I did for several years. I really got into the world building. I would be one of those old men who like thrives building model railroads if I gave a damn about railroads. But the great thing about the Christmas villages is that you don't need railroads, you don't need trains, so you can just like world build, and I would world build the hell. See, originally, like my mom wanted me to set her Christmas village up for her as a kid, and I just did such a great job. That became my job when decorating for the holidays. And then I moved out and I kept it going, but eventually it became too much work setting it up. Like it would take 72 hours to really set it up. I got so detailed with it, and I would have little touches like Sasquatches in the woods. So anyway, it has nothing to do with Diddy Kong. All right, so we went to there. We did Madrid. Let's do Amsterdam. Well, hold on. We're gonna go to Amsterdam. I mean, I'm sorry, but we've got to do this right. Of course, Funky loves Amsterdam because tulips. Also loves windmills, stroopwafels. All right. This is one of my favorite city tracks from Tour. I really like how they were able to incorporate like the countryside, which is far removed from Amsterdam, but again, you have to kind of squint really hard to make it all work. So in Tour, you can just bounce right up on that bus, but not here on 8 Deluxe. Here, that hurts. I don't really care for the canal bits of this, but in Tour, that was a whole different, like, that was a whole, like, separate iteration of the track, where here it's just a lap or so. Oh. And yeah, the tulip fields. Yeah. The original NFT. Look it up. All right, let's take Funky. We'll play as Funky for a bit. Let's take Funky to Bangkok. I feel like I've raced on this track so much in Tour. But luckily I know my way around. Although I'm not really sure of the configuration here. Like how they're arranging the laps to incorporate all of the different iterations. I feel like Funky would be the Kong out of all the Kongs to have his own like YouTube travelogue series. Like, hey, what's up? I'm Funky Kong. Today we're in Bangkok. Whoa. I'm gonna get a street massage, bro. I don't know if Funky has the time to do all he does. Keep hitting the guardrail. I love that bit. That's I think my favorite bit in any of the Bangkok tour tracks. Oh, man. I don't know why I kept eating the side of the track there. Chris says, if "Let's Take Funky to Bangkok" is not a random DK Vine site slogan, it should be. Put whoever makes the neon avatars on that too. Here's the thing, I add the site slogans, Chris, so I'm going to add that this afternoon. Guaranteed. Just, no context. Let's take Funky to Bangkok. Which we just did. So let's now take Funky to Singapore. This is a track I associate with Diddy for some reason, but we'll take Funky to Singapore. This has been educational, actually, Mario Kart Tour and all these city tracks. Because I did, like, it makes me want to research the cities I've never been to, see how accurate the depictions are and what landmarks are actually being referenced. Like this hotel here is a real hotel, and they have the pool on the top of it. It's a thing. I always like anything that makes me go down a what I call a Wikipedia like binge, like, you know, wiki wormhole. You just you want to learn about something, and then there's a link to something else, and you keep clicking. I love to learn. And whenever Donkey Kong can help facilitate that, then all the better. Because I'm sharing my passion with my thirst for knowledge, and I'm intertwining them and making them one. So then I get excited to learn because it relates back to Donkey Kong. It's harnessing your obsessive fandoms for your own growth and well-being. But yeah, like, if Rio was in this game as a track, then Funky could do that pose right next to the Christ the Redeemer statue. Brilliant. Brilliant. That would be an award-winning screenshot right there. And everybody on social media would have already done it before I even woke up this morning. See if I can hit these dash rings. There we go. When I try, I can do things. Oh, but I hit the guardrail. You would think that, you know, both Donkey and Funky have such pearly white chompers. You'd think they would have chipped teeth and missing teeth and cracked teeth just because of all the abuse they take. So it makes me wonder if they're veneers. Need a dentist Kong to help confirm these theories. And Chris says they should have used Donkey Kong rather than Mario for the edutainment SNES games. Imagine Funky's time machine. Oh, Funky Kong, we just can't possibly go on without the Declaration of Independence. You joke, but I would have loved an edutainment game. Like, I lament that Donkey Kong Country came out probably about a year after those really stopped being in vogue. And so we never really got our piece of that pie. I would have been all about that. Not really, like, embracing it, but it would be that kind of ironic, ha 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 ha, that happened kind of thing that we could still get a lot of material out of. But yeah, I mean, I thought about those possibilities as a kid. Like, what if Donkey Kong gets Cranky Kong or Wrinkly Kong teaches typing game? I'd be like, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. I would be all for that. Why not? And yeah, so, and of course, our friend Briegel was the child on one of those edutainment Mario titles. So he could have gotten a spot on a DKU game. Let me know in the chat what Donkey Kong edutainment titles you would have wanted to see, or still want to see. Why do we have to limit ourselves to the past when the future is full of its own possibilities? All right, let's go to the City of Love. Let's go to Paris, where Funky Kong will negotiate higher rate of royalties for the Donkey Kong Country cartoon show. The strike's over, but Funky Kong is not satiated. He got hosed in that original deal. This is such a weird track. Just get the very Parisian music and just the visual of the Eiffel Tower, and here's a gorilla on a motorcycle wearing sunglasses. I guess it's a weird track in the context of me playing as Funky Kong, more so than it just being a Mario Kart. I mean, Mario Kart is plenty weird, but it's kind of a weird we've all grown numb to, whereas Funky Kong can still surprise and delight when you drop him in any unexpected context. Seattle is a city I would have loved to have seen in Mario Kart Tour / Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, just because of the proximity to Nintendo of America and the whole American video game scene. Like, I'm surprised Seattle didn't get in there. And they probably thought, well, it's fairly close geographically to Vancouver, all things considered. Plus, it, you know, the same time zone as Los Angeles, so maybe they were just... They thought it'd be too self-indulgent to put Seattle in there, but... It would make our Frasier jokes go down a lot easier for people. Oh, I should have saved my mushrooms to break through the piranha plants. It's fine. Like I said, I'm not even really trying. Hey, Josh from Off of the Geek Critique is here, everyone. Say hi to Josh. Chris says, I will say the thing that's made me roll my eyes a little during these tour courses is the choice of instruments for the music tracks. Paris being accordions and Madrid being Spanish guitars, and them not really having anything more clever to them than that is a bit lazy. Josh says, I really like the Singapore track, but yeah, most of them are just okay. Chris says, like, if you're going to pick the most stereotypical instrument for that country, use it to riff on a Mario Kart staple or something. I agree. I do like... London, I like. I feel like they kind of give a little tip of the hat to the British invasion in the London track, but I can see that it is very like, oh, the Eiffel Tower, and then you have to hear the dun 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 dun, or you see the Great Wall of China, and then somebody hits a gong. It's just like, really? But, you know. Alright, Funky does Tokyo, everyone. I really like the Tokyo track, though. That's... I thought the Tokyo track is well done. I think it's the first one in the game. Either that or New York Minute. I can't remember which one was first added to Tour off the top of my head, but... Obviously, I was lamenting the lack of Seattle, given its ties to Nintendo, but this is effectively Nintendo's home track by default, by closest proximity. See Mount Fuji in the background. It was fun when the Olympics in Tokyo were happening, because that was concurrent with both Mario Kart Tour having Tokyo, like, in that 2-week cycle. And, of course, canonically, the Mario and Sonic at the Olympics game that took place in Tokyo, that was erroneously labeled 2020, would have taken place at the same time. So you had this little flashpoint event of the real world coinciding with the world of Mario, Donkey Kong, and Sonic, and we could make a case that all of these characters were in Tokyo at this precise moment of time, competing in Olympic events and racing in Mario Kart races. So that was a really cool, like maybe once in a lifetime event where we could tangibly make a case for where all the characters were at a specific moment across multiple games at that. So should we switch back to Diddy, or I kind of want to take Funky down under? So we're going to take Funky to Sydney, and then we might switch back to Diddy, run a few more tracks at least. I think the most famous part of this track is the fact that you drive into the Opera House and everybody is just a flat cardboard cutout. Yep. Doesn't look great. Doesn't look great. See, if this was more Donkey Kong themed, you could just have a bunch of king cutouts in there. And it would be appropriate. I understand why they wanted to do city tracks, but I do kind of wish we could have seen more of the Australian environment, like nature. Go out of Sydney, go into the outback, but then you can't have like memorable set pieces and landmarks like you could by having the Sydney Opera House, which I feel like is what most people just know of Sydney if you don't live in Australia. I feel like, yeah, this isn't one of my favorite city tracks. Like, yeah, the harbor's fun, but you don't really incorporate it too much. But again, maybe that's just because I'm not a Sydney local. I've never been to Sydney, so I have nothing that really resonates with me. Like New York Minute or Los Angeles Laps. Dramatic ending foiled by another guardrail. Chris, I would have loved a didgeridoo. Because I love a didgeridoo. I love a good didgeridoo. Ask anyone and they'll tell you. Hyle, the guy from DK Vine, loves a didgeridoo. For me, a didgeridoo can make any sad day a glad day. Because I hear a didgeridoo, and that frown gets turned upside down. I love a didgeridoo. So I disagree with you there. Yes, it would have been stereotypical. It would have been reductive and limiting. But I don't care. You know what? Give me a didgeridoo for the New York track. I don't care, because I get a didgeridoo out of it. There's two instruments that never fail to make me happy and in a bouncy, joyful mood. That's the didgeridoo, and that's the pan flutes. I hear a pan flute, and I'm just like, oh. I hear a didgeridoo, and I'm like, hee. I don't know why they strike a chord with me, but they do. Let's take Funky to Berlin. Because I want Funky Kong to visit the Berlin Wall. And you think I'm being crass, you think I'm making a joke. I'm not. The Berlin Wall is in the game. And it's covered with Donkey Kong graffiti. The weird thing is, this isn't even the first time Mario's visited the Berlin Wall, because I think it was in one of the edutainment titles as well. I've got to do Greece, too. Or Athens, I should say, specifically. Funky should go to Greece, since he is a Greece monkey. Well, gorilla, but that, you know, joke being. He referred to himself as such in PKC3. How lovely that they provide surfboards for Funky wherever he goes. Because if you go to Germany, like, if Mario Kart goes to Germany, it's like, where's the Autobahn? Where's... I want to drive through the Black Forest. That's why I think sometimes the city things were a little bit reductive and limiting, because you couldn't explore other famous landmarks of a country because they weren't part of that city. Like, they really stretched things with Amsterdam by working in... There's the Berlin Wall, everyone! Donkey Kong's on the Berlin Wall. Bernie DK. David Hasselhoff, I don't know. Yeah, but we don't have any city tracks from Africa, South America. It just feels like not even an oversight, just like an intentional omission. And like, what the hell? Come on. Gem says, holy shit, Hyle almost sounded genuine there. He must really like them didgeridoos. I love a good didgeridoo. I love a bad didgeridoo. Just give me a didgeridoo. Alright, Athens Dash. Oh, we gotta go to the bathroom at some point, too. The Clive and Wrench stage. I feel like both Athens Dash and Rome Avante are kind of a pair, because you're both you're driving through ruins, although Athens really just puts you into the ruins and makes you makes that the central piece, where it's more of a incidental thing in Rome Avanti. Sorry, I wasn't following the arrows like it to. I was thinking I was playing Mario Kart Tour, and that's where I would go if this was the standard Mario Kart Tour track. I'm sorry. Lakitu is such an asshole. At least TT would admonish you with a friendly voice and a firm but caring warning. Lakitu just puts a fishing hook in your mouth. Could have just... I forget I have the mushrooms because I'm in time trial. That statue of Athena up there is an historical inaccuracy because it doesn't actually still exist. So we can only surmise that the Mario Kart Commission came in and said, let us race through your precious ruins, your hallowed historical landmarks, and we will rebuild the destroyed statue or missing statue of Athena for you. And they somehow were cool with this? Sure. We'll let some gorillas drive around on motorcycles and carts on these one of a kind ruins that are the source of all of our tourism. We'll let you do it. If you build us a new statue, that's a forgery. That's an art fraud. Actually, let's go back to Diddy. Thanks, Funky. I love you, but Diddy is still where my heart lies for this. So go back to the standard. Very particular, aren't I? No, standard. And then, I don't know, for whatever reason, and I'm this way with Tor too, I feel like certain characters just gel more with certain carts and cosmetics. Alright, so what haven't we done? We haven't done London. London Loop, there it is. Just went past it. Alright. Diddy is in London. Close to where he was born. I mean, his home country. I mean, from a development, from a creation standpoint, not from a in-universe. Although, you know, I know there's the render of Donkey Kong holding the Union Jack. They're rare made. So I like the music for London. If this was in a Super Mario Brothers movie, you would hear like the Clash's London Calling playing right now or something. I'm used to Torus physics still, where it's a lot more freewheeling and you can't really fall off many ledges, nor do you get slowed down when you run into the sides. So that's biggest hurdle, is reacclimating myself to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe now that I have reason to play it again and not hold any animosity towards it. Oh, he's loose. Alright. 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 I'm just stuck on the roundabout now. Typical American driver doesn't know how to handle a roundabout. It's bringing me so much joy just watching Diddy drive a GLA. Don't get me wrong, I would be even happier if Diddy Kong was driving a Timbers Island style car or plane or hovercraft and playing the didgeridoo, but look at that. How could you be upset when you see a visual like that? No, alright, let's go to the bathroom, everyone. Take a bathroom break, and by that I mean squeaky clean sprint. Which, of course, Wave 5 of the Booster Course Pass was so deflating. Because at that point, we were really thinking that Diddy wasn't going to be in it. And it was just, oh, but we get the bathroom track, everyone. And now, of course, I find it delightful, now that I can play the bathroom track as Diddy, but it's a rough couple of months there. I do wish the clock would actually be set to your system's internal clock. I don't know why it's just broken on 1010. It's that way in Tour, too. This is a fun little track, though. I like how they tried to recontextualize everything related to a bathroom environment with Mario. So you get some fun Easter eggs. But you gotta think from Diddy's perspective. Diddy is friends with the squirrel who fought a poop monster. So does that make him pause anytime he's near a toilet, thinking, could this be it? Could this be the time I get attacked by a poop monster? I wonder how Rare would handle a track like this. Obviously, there would be poop stains somewhere. And urine stains. It wouldn't be this clean in here. You'd have stink lines coming off the poo. And there's a bidet in that toilet. Fantastic. Clean the butthole. Make that butt feel like a baby. All over again. What is the context for Squeaky Clean Sprint, though? Is Diddy Kong shrunk down right now? Or is this bathroom the bathroom of a giant? I would imagine Diddy Kong would be miniaturized right now. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. I mean, they have the technology to miniaturize. Just get a more permanent acting lightning bolt. And bam, you're racing around a toilet and sink and tub, but it's the same problem with Ribbon Road, the way they reimagined Ribbon Road in this game. It's like, well, okay, is this the Giant's bedroom, or did they make him small? Jem says, well, being friends with Banjo, he, being Diddy, knows there are good poop people as well. That is true. Not all poop people are monsters. There are decent salt of the earth shits out there, like the Squits from Grunny's Revenge. I don't mean to be a bigot towards poop people. No, I don't want to upload that atrocious lap. Chris says, maybe this is the previously unseen bathroom of Super Mario Land 2's Macro Zone. And then Days of Matt points out that the giant ring from Odyssey is in the track, so it's probably the bathroom that's gigantic. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know, though, but, like, what... Because that would imply that giants are so prevalent in the Mushroom Kingdom that there are not only bathrooms designed for them, but an abundance of products in giant size, which is my issue with that. It's my only issue with that is that fundamentally the logic of the universe breaks down if we accept all of that versus, you know, them having a shrinking ray. What else would be fun to take Diddy on? Let's do Waluigi Pinball. It's always a favorite. Probably the best track coming out of Mario Kart DS. A better Rainbow Road than the Rainbow Road in that game. I love pinball. I feel bad saying that because we have somebody in our community who is a worldwide recognized pinball champion in Ray Day Pinball. They just rack up awards left and right. And so I say, yeah, I like pinball. And then we have a legitimate pinball wizard in our ranks. So just say I like pinball well enough. I'm not like amazing at it, but I'm also not terrible at it. In the right context and setting, I can be decent, rack up a high score in pinball, but I'm no world champion. So is Waluigi really into pinball? Like, we just accept these things. Like, oh, it's Waluigi Pinball. But why? Why is it Waluigi Pinball? What is the meaning behind Waluigi Pinball? And again, is this a giant pinball machine, or did we shrink down? Did we miniaturize? Is this played by the same giants who took a poop bath there? See, I thought initially that this was just a giant pinball machine. And maybe Waluigi really into pinball, and he was like, they asked him, hey, Waluigi, what track would you like to represent you in this round of Mario Kartery? And he said, well, I really like pinball. Can you make a giant pinball machine with all the neon bells and whistles? They're like, well, that would cost millions of dollars. I said, but you asked. So they said, damn, you got us. It would make more sense if they just built a regular pinball machine and shrunk them down, right? But I don't know. I would go to Mario Wiki and find this out, but they've never specified, and Mario Wiki doesn't like to speculate like I do. They think Bear from Donkey Kong Land 3 is a separate character from Bazaar. I mean, really. I love Mario Wiki. It's the best Donkey Kong wiki is Mario Wiki. This is a good spot when you're playing Mario Kart Tour, and if you're playing Donkey Kong, drop a bunch of large banana peels, because everybody will spin out, you'll rack up points. It's not applicable here, though, is it? Jem says, "Well, it's a wiki. They're not meant for speculation." I know. I know. I'm not saying I want them to speculate. I'm just saying that I would go to them to find this out, but of course it wouldn't be there because they're a wiki. And Chris is getting on me for the bear denialism, but I am who I am. I do want to do Merry Mountain before all is said and done. But I think that's a track I want to close on because this is the biggest holiday present for DKU fans for the next 2 months. Minus, DK Vine's shit hot merchandise we'll have in the merchandise store that you'll be asking your family for the holidays. So I want to end on Merry Mountain, but there's a couple more tracks I do want to try out beforehand. I shit talk DS Rainbow Road, but let's do Wii Rainbow Road, which is just added today. And we'll see how that feels in 8 Deluxe. I love how the GLA glows when you're in anti-gravity mode. Is this the first Rainbow Road that explicitly took place in space rather than just high up in the night sky or the upper atmosphere? I know some past Rainbow Roads have been, again, I use the word recontextualized, but that's what happened. They added more detail to where they took place after the fact when they came back as retro courses. But I mean, this was in space in Mario Kart Wii, so which was inevitable. It was inevitable, but I always liked Rainbow Road being a little bit more ambiguous, maybe. I really don't like what they did with the Mario Kart 64 Rainbow Road in Mario Kart 8, though. I feel like they kind of ruined the appeal. They sort of missed the point of it by making it shorter. Oh, it's supposed to be 10 minutes long. Damn it. But again, being in space is nothing that earth-shattering or space-shattering for Diddy, since his very first racing game, minus the time he commandeered that bus in Mario Kart 64, his very first racing game culminated on an extraterrestrial planet. And then he went to space in Barrel Blast, too. And, of course, in not a racing game, but DK Jungle Climber, he went into space. So, yeah, this is probably laughable for Diddy. Like, oh yeah, you call this outer space? Where's the pig warlord? Where is the talking banana man? Where is the robotic Kong from the future that has a unicorn spike? Shoots lasers at you. No, stop asking me that. I'm not happy with any of these. This is about the experience of being Diddy and Funky, not about setting lap records. I will try to set lap records on my own time. Damn it. Yeah, I'm kind of good with something. Calamari Desert, that's a fun one. A Mario Kart 64 track, but with Diddy. Let's feel this one out. Now, in Mario Kart Tour, and I'm sorry to keep bringing this up, but Mario Kart Tour, this is often a favorite track of Dixie Kong. So, this is a track I now associate with Dixie. But, yeah, Diddy. It's a classic Mario Kart 64 environment. And he's not even in a bus. I don't really care for what they did with it, because what they did was Mario Kart Tour, like a city track, had different iterations of Calamari Desert. They like used the original version, but then they also had a reformulated version where you could drive on the train track. You're supposed to drive on the train tracks, and what 8 Deluxe has done is kind of combine those versions rather than just do the simple Calamari Desert from Mario Kart 64, which I feel like they should have just done that, because nobody really cares about staying true to the Mario Kart Tour versions of this track. But hey, it's Diddy in Calamari Desert on a... Oh! It's cool. I have to take him to Toad's Turnpike, don't I? A return trip to Toad's Turnpike. Sans bus. Don't talk to me in the YouTube comments. I can believe what I want to believe. I can believe Bear Bear is Bizarre Bear, and I can believe that it's Diddy Kong and not a Yukiki behind the wheel of that bus in Mario Kart 64. Okay? Okay. It looks more like Diddy than it does Yukiki, so giving all of you the finger out of spite right now. Chris asks, what does this have to do with bloopers/bloopers or squids in general? Because bloopers and bloopers, they've alternately used both names, and I don't want people to yell at me in the YouTube comments. I always took it as the train, the 64 train, was being used to bring in seafood from the coast. So it is the Calamari Desert. Hey, Freezer's here. Freezer says, everyone else I've heard from loved this change in 8 Deluxe. Yeah, well, guess what? Mickey's Racing Adventure isn't DKU, even though the rare cows are in it. Okay, let's go to Toad's Turnpike. Yeah, there it is. I was like, am I completely misremembering here? I know it's in Mario Kart 8. We're so deep into the booster course pass that it's hard to remember what's in the base game at this point. Here you go, Diddy. Actually driving a regular kart, or I guess in this case a Mercedes GLA, and not a bus. Let's see if we can see the bus you would have driven, though. Oh, is it that? That's the bus you'd be driving? These buses right here? One of these buses? Yeah. And now we've got the extra context that this takes place in Toad City. Toad City. What a great name for Almost as good as Donkey Kong Island, am I right? Bernie DK. Oh, I guess maybe Diddy would drive a Bernie DK truck nowadays. Something like a Smokey and a Bandit situation where they're not allowed to sell Bernie DK outside of the Mushroom Kingdom, but the denizens of Donkey Kong Island really want to try it. So Diddy has to drive it through the warp pipe while the police are on his tail. The traffic's a lot less dense in this version than it was in Mario Kart 64. When I was doing my DK bind on slow of Mario Kart 64, I was just getting hammered. But here you have like entire empty stretches of highway. Alright, well that wasn't fun. I thought it'd be fun to take Diddy back to Toad's Turnpike, but it's just too different. It doesn't have the appeal of driving on the N64 original because they've reimagined it too much, and I just don't get the same sense of mischievous joy that I was hoping to get from. Did I do change character? I'm not done with Diddy. It's fine. Alright. Ooh, Moo Moo Meadows. Yeah, hell yeah, we're doing Moo Moo Meadows. Moo Moo Meadows is unironically one of my favorite tracks. And, like, infamously, when Mario Kart 8 came out, we would have, like, DK Vine multiplayer sessions, you know, online, and everybody would be Donkey Kong, and we would keep picking Moo Moo Meadows. So you would just have a sea of Donkey Kong in this farmland. I think I like this better than Moo Moo Farm. Like, as much nostalgia as I have for Moo Moo Farm. It's weird, but I think this is the superior track. It's got more going on for it. I also feel like this could have been a Diddy Kong Racing track. Like, in a iterative installment of Diddy Kong Racing, like the Game Boy Color version or Diddy Kong Pilot. This would have, like, not Moo Moo, but a farm full of cows. Sure. Would have been Redneck Kong's home track, probably. Which, again, the character of Redneck Kong doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because he's presented more as a hillbilly than a redneck, and they are two different things. But it's also just a hilariously shit name, too. Like Mr. Pants. Captain Bones, etc. Oh, Freezer requested me to do Moo Moo Meadows because he said it's full of rare cows. So, you're welcome. And yes, if Rare did Milky Farms, as you said, then I'm sure it would have had a rare cow or two in there. Is there any... Ooh. At Royal Raceway, like, part of me is like, yeah, Royal Raceway, but we can't explore the castle grounds, and it almost feels like it's passively, aggressively withholding it from you. Okay, you know what? I want to take Funky to Sunshine Airport and Mount Wario. Maybe Excite Bike Arena too. But I want to take Diddy to the future. A future funland, if you will. You know, I think I'm gonna, after this, I'm gonna clear out of time trial mode, and we're gonna do, we're gonna do one more set of six races on an artificial cup. Yeah, Diddy in F-Zero, finally. It's finally happening. I forget that there's an F-Zero, like F-Zero tracks in this game, and Excite Bike, and that the crossovers with other Nintendo properties extended beyond just Animal Crossing, The Legend of Zelda, Splatoon, and I guess now Donkey Kong, if you want to be technical, but... But I do wonder, like, they go to the future here. What if they pick up a future pandemic? Is this how COVID started in the Donkey Kong universe? Did they come back from Mute City with this futuristic form of coronavirus, and then it started to spread that way? Like, how do you get inoculated for trips to the future if those viruses don't even exist yet? This seems entirely irresponsible on the part of Mario Kart, the administrators, and it's just reckless. It's just playing with fire. You're not only endangering all your racers, but you're also putting the world at risk, right? And then what happens if you change the timeline? You won't be able to get back to Mute City because it'll no longer exist because you destroyed this future. I don't know how the Chest of Time works in that regard. I assume it's whatever happened rules, and so the characters have always time traveled because that's the timeline. The timeline has always accounted for the Chest of Time, and you're not actually either changing the past or future like Back to the Future, or creating branch timelines like in most time travel stories nowadays, but I still think traveling to the future like this is stupid on their part. And yeah, Master Hand took them here first, but wear a face mask at least, Diddy. Jeez. Chris says you can do an entire 6-track crossover cup. I said Hyle Castle. Oh, wow. Oops. Hyrule Castle, Mute City, Big Blue, Animal Crossing, and the rest. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do the crossover cup. And then we'll end on Marymount. Oh, I do want to take Funky to Sunshine Airport, though. Okay, here's what we'll do. We'll go to Sunshine Airport in time trial mode. And then we'll do the crossover cup. It'd be lovely if Funky's Flights had a terminal here. But they didn't put Funky in the base game, so you didn't get that. So I haven't flown since pre-COVID. Like, I think, yeah, E3 2019 was the last time I've actually flown anywhere. Is it weird that I kind of miss going to the airport? Not the whole process of being in line and emptying your pockets and taking off your shoes and getting frisked by TSA, but I miss that feeling post all of that when you're at your terminal and you have, if you got there early enough, you have time to get food, you have time to check the shops. I kind of miss that because there's always this relief, this euphoria of, all right, I got through the worst part of flying. Now everything else is just waiting. I have no control over it, so I'm just going to surrender myself to my circumstances and try to enjoy the overpriced airport food and entertainment. And then, of course, it all goes to shit once again once they start boarding the plane, and then everybody stands up and gets in that line, even though we have boarding groups, and you can stay seated because you're not getting on the plane any faster just because you're standing up for 20 minutes. God, idiots. I can't hit... I don't know why I can... Oh, now I'm just stuck under this wheel. Yeah. I don't know why I can't make that. I'm out of practice for sure. Plus, I've never done this with a bike. I've always used a car with Donkey Kong. The entire 9 years I played this game. Well, 9.5. Well, this game and the original Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. Nice. Yeah, it was nice for Funky Kong to be in an airport. One of his natural habitats. Alright. I know I said Mount Wario, but I want to do this crossover cup. So that's what we're going to do. Ooh, a new vehicle customization option has been unlocked because I collected more coins. Alright, what do you got? Okay, no. No. If it was DKU, if it was a Naughty or Conquer, then sure, I'd go with that, but... Alright, I keep reading this as Spooge. And I just had to go back and make sure that my eyes were deceiving me, which they were, thankfully. Okay. So, crossover cup, eh? Well, then let's start with... Well, we already did Mute City. Let's start with Mute City. Oh, we're finally going to take Funky Kong to Hyrule, everyone. I wonder who's going to play Funky Kong in a live-action Legend of Zelda movie. I mean, Kenan Thompson's already has his audition reel, so... It's probably the least of Nintendo and Sony's problems right now. Sony Pictures, that is. Also, I'd be freaked out going to the future. It's never been a fantasy of mine. Oh, I want to see what the future looks like. I don't want to know. I can't... See, I just want to drive off the edge. It terrifies me so much. No, I wouldn't want to know what's ahead. Because I feel like that could potentially just... If it's bad, it could just shatter your optimism and your will to live your life. Part of our adaptability as a species is the fact that the future can be anything we make it. And sure, like, I guess if all I know is, well, they F-0 in the future, a place called Mute City, then, like, oh, okay. That doesn't sound so bad. Oh, come on. There was enough of a gap between the two where... Oh, are you kidding me? Alright, thankfully that lightning bolt rendered it inert, but... That was overkill. Everybody behind Funky Kong. That was... I've been playing time trial with these characters and I forgot now how frustrating Mario Kart can be. Oh, come on. Jesus! Was that the 4th one in this race? I don't know why I fall off. I keep forgetting there's a turn there. I really need to get acquainted with all these tracks again now that I have incentive to play this game. Said like none of the tracks in the base game ever got into Mario Kart Tour. So these feel dramatically new to me again. Which is weird, you know, they're a decade old, but I haven't really picked up this game outside of checking out the Booster Course Pass content. So. Excite Bike Arena. Funky feels like he would be a natural crossover with Excite Bike. Like, Donkey Kong was in a Punch-Out revival. If they did another Excite Bike revival, then put Funky in it. I mean, ideally, we would have a Donkey Kong side game of our own, and we don't just have to keep appearing in other properties, but... I did like Excite Bike when I was a kid. I never owned it, but whenever a friend would have it, it'd be, oh yeah, let's play that. It looks like poop. Reminds me of the squits from Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge. Anybody else? These little mud puddles remind you of the squits? Let me know in the chat if it reminds you of the squits, the poop people from the Banjo-Kazooie series. Press P in the chat for poop. It is depressing to see like F-Zero tracks, an Excite Bike track. I'm just thinking like how all these classic Nintendo racing franchises just get nothing because Mario Kart is the cash cow. Of course, Diddy Kong Racing is not included under that umbrella because it's technically not a Nintendo franchise. Although they own the name. Oh, come on. Freezer says, at least we got F-Zero 99. So people have been enjoying that. I mean, obviously I don't keep myself that in tune with anything that's not Donkey Kong or the DKU rare, but people have been enjoying F-Zero 99. It's not just viewed as from a cynical lens as, oh, that's all we're getting. Freezer says, yeah, it's great. Gibbon says, now see, I'm actually a big Excite Bike fan, and so I'm torn on this track. On the one hand, it's probably one of the most complex tracks in the game, having random configurations with something like 500 possible layouts. But on the other hand, I want a new Excite game that's not just part of Mario Kart. Yeah. And it's like the F-Zero track, it might be cool if... Well, it'd be Captain Falcon. I was going to say an F-Zero character would be in this as a guest character. But it'd be Captain Falcon. But even they don't even go that far. It's just here are F-Zero tracks. And yeah. Disappointing. Disappointing if you're a fan of those properties. Alright. What should be next? Should we do Funky for one more and then let Diddy take over the last 3 tracks of the Crossover Cup? I think that's fair. So let's go to Hyrule. If this is Funky's last race in the Crossover Cup, let's go to Hyrule and have Funky in a fantasy setting. Funky fantasy, everyone. Of course, this does feel like it could be from Dragon Force from Diddy Kong Racing, except, you know, for all the Zelda bits. Funky doesn't care. He's like, well, I'm back in time to a historical age that modern scholars no longer know about. Alright, cool, whatever. So, you know, the way they replace coins with rupees here, and they do other swap outs in some of the other crossover tracks, I do wish we could have gotten that in DK Jungle. And I think we would have had it come later or not been just a byproduct of Mario Kart 7. I wish we could have banana coins or some other little detail in DK Jungle. But I realize that's also more of a muddled area considering Donkey Kong's own historical ties to both Mario and the Mario Kart series, so... But now that Diddy and Funky are here, and they're on the crossover row... This is a nice track, though. I don't think it's that amazing, all things considered. But they, you know, they hit the right notes. Funky, grab the Master Sword. You can wield it. You're Funky Kong. I wonder which era of The Legend of Zelda this track is supposed to be taking place in. Like, I know the Link in this game is patterned after Breath of the Wild, although I think he has the other tunic in here, but... This seems like it's more representative of classic Zelda games. They're just cheering. They're cheering this gorilla. Have they ever even seen a gorilla in Hyrule? Also, it's a nice touch maybe that they added toads there too. Like, toads are also made this trip to cheer them on. At the very least, it makes it more consistent when you see them on Donkey Kong Island and Shy Guys and what have you. Like, oh yeah, they can make the trip. They're Mario Kart groupies. They make every voyage to watch every race in person. Chris says, in 2014, Twilight Princess HD was the most recent. And Freezer reminds me that Link has a Skyward Sword model first. Okay. Well, let's go back to the future. No, not that future. Oh, wait. Oh, No, I have to do Funky. Okay, fine. I'll do Funky. No, I don't want to quit. Fine, it's fine. I'll come back to Diddy before the stream is over. I don't know why I thought I could change my character. I've never really done versus mode all that much. At least not in these structured, like, series of races. Just one race here or there on occasion. Against friends. Getting shelled so much. What a relief that they still have water in the future. Oh. Okay, well, it's fine. I got lightning bolted, and the red shell wasn't gonna get me after all. I am so unfamiliar with this track layout. feel like I only played Big Blue enough to get the trophies in Grand Prix, and this feels so unfamiliar to me. Because again, I haven't picked up the base game in so long. So that was just a cacophony of noise for me, and I was trying to make sense of it because I don't remember any of it. It's fun to have a reason to play Mario Kart 8 again. You know, it's unusual because we don't really get gifted this reason to revisit old games with something laser focused into what you enjoy and appreciate, which is, hey, your favorite video game character of all time is now in it, and the awesome supporting character from the same series. So yeah, let's do Animal Crossing. I forget what button you press to make the season change, so we're just gonna go in random. I don't care. I don't care what season it is in Animal Crossing. I enjoy all 4 seasons. There's beauty to be found even in the coldest winter or the most humid, hot summer day. But it looks like it's autumn, so seasonally appropriate for the season I'm in right now, up here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's a nice fall frolic day. I'm gonna drive into the leaf pile. Whee! Which, you know, I'm not that familiar with Animal Crossing, I have to say. I've tried to get into the original, and I didn't stick with it. It just wasn't for me, but I'm sure had I stuck with it, it would be really cool to have Funky Kong driving around here. As it stands, it just feels more like he's making a guest appearance on Gilmore Girls than it does another Nintendo series, but that's my own deficiency as a human being versus any fault of this context. That's more like the courthouse from Back to the Future than anything I associate with, or maybe that does, I don't know. One of those buildings does. So what track will be after this? Is Yoshi's Island? Alright. I think it would just be Yoshi's Island unless we're counting DK Jungle, which would be a bit of a cheat. But let's see. Chris is asking me, Hyle, who did you play as in GoldenEye? I don't think I had a set character in GoldenEye. Um, it was really just, I think, more who my friends were playing as, and then I would pick one. Like, I didn't really care all that much. But yeah, I think I sampled everyone in GoldenEye before I could really like say this is my character. Guess there's no Splatoon track. That's right. Yoshi, 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 Yoshi. Yeah, there it is. Freezer asked, what season do you think is Funky's favorite? I mean, I think Funky, being the sensitive soul that he is, would find enrichment from all 4 seasons. I think Funky's naturally a summer guy, being the surfing bomb, but he probably loves breaking out the snowboards come winter. And yes, Funky Kong in Yoshi's Island. Never thought we'd see it. Aside from, you know, when we saw it at Mario Kart Tour, but most of you didn't play that. I know what color those birds are. They bring the babies. I really, really like this track. And it frustrates me. Oh, I didn't miss the question mark cloud. It frustrates me that I feel like, even though I love DK Jungle, and I think it's an excellent track, I don't feel like we've ever had anything that captures the spirit of the Donkey Kong Country series quite as well as this captures Yoshi's Island. And maybe a hardcore Yoshi's Island fan would disagree with me, and they would say, no, they missed the mark here completely. But from the outside looking in, I look at this and I'm just kind of in awe of what they did here. And they were able to make it feel consistent with the art style for Yoshi's Island while also stayed true to Mario Kart 8's own look, which is not easy to do, and I think it's worthy of applause. I do like DK Jungle. I really do. They just a little details here or there. Maybe we could add a little bit more to it. And because it was made for the 3DS, I'm sure. Got it. I'm sure they would have had they developed it for a console, but. I still really like it, don't get me wrong. And it's just really a shame that the Rare era just has this kind of hard divide to it now, where like we'll never really get a throwback track to those Donkey Kong Country games in quite the same way. Obviously characters and elements will return, but it just won't be like, here's this loving tribute to this specific moment in time from Nintendo. I missed it. Oh well, doesn't really matter. Oh, come on, that was totally illegal, Lakitu. What are you talking about? If you don't want me doing that, then put up a wall in the sky. It's Yoshi's Island, you can do that. Jeez. It's always with the 1-2 punch of either getting blue shelled and then lightning bolt, or lightning bolt and blue shelled. And that's preferable, getting lightning bolt and blue shelled, because then the blue shell won't hurt you. See, even the little musical touches there, it's great. Let's look at the highlight reel. And just admire Funky on Yoshi's Island. I don't want to see him getting blue shell. That's cruel. There we go. Funky in the clouds. Funky loves ascending to the clouds, if you know what I mean. He's a pilot. Well, not a lot to see up here, is there? There we go. Here we got an action shot. Beautiful view of the sea and the chain chomps bouncing around. There we go. Still doesn't feel real that he's in it or Diddy's in it. Right. Let's I want to run Funky down Mount Wario, and then we'll go to Merry Mountain with Diddy, and then I think that'll be it for this stream, because I have to save some for the conversation I'm going to be doing with Cameron. So I can't just. I'm gonna have to digest some of this and let it percolate in the old brain, and then I'll have new things to say beyond what I've said today. Cool, the Mach 8. It's a plane. We'll try it. We'll try it. All right, Mount Wario, I said, for Funky. Yep. We're gonna end in the mountains. This and Merry Mountain. I really like this track. I think this is a clever idea for a track. And again, I don't know what makes it Wario. So it's the problem with most of these Mario Kart tracks, It's just, we're gonna just arbitrarily assign a character to this track, and sometimes you don't notice it, and sometimes when you're like a hardcore Donkey Kong fan, it's like, why is it DK pass? What does this mean? And then you have to come up with contrived fanon explanation that holds together. But people are gonna roll their eyes at you. Oh, it's Mount Wario because Wario owns a dam here. Oh, sunny boning myself there. Oh, did it again. Oh, did it again. This was kind of like the spiritual successor to DK Summit, and yet now DK Summit's in this game too. So maybe they should have gone with DK Pass. I don't know. I know DK Summit's snowboarding and this is skiing, but oh, I missed that one. I'm so rusty when it comes to the original tracks in Mario Kart 8. And that's where we part ways with Funky Kong. Which, what a great way to say goodbye for now, is to have him surrounded in a circular crowd of adoring fans. He knows it. He knows he's hot shit. Even though he hit a tree like 3 times. Freezer said, in relation to Mount Wario, I hate this track because it was the only track people played for years. Chris says, you had bad Mario Kart friends, and I am sorry. Everyone should have been voting for Coconut Mall. I like Coconut Mall. Coconut Mall's fun. Yeah, let's, you know what? Diddy Kong Pilot. That's... We're gonna keep Diddy in the plane, and we are going to go... Jeez, I can't even find it. There it is. I don't know why I thought it was the last track. Merry Mountain. Alright. The holidays are here, everyone. Black Friday sales start right now. But of course, racing, Diddy Kong, heavily associated with the holiday season in my mind, so... It doesn't feel too early. And it's going to be a great holiday season for DK Vine, for the Donkey Kong and Rare fandom. We are going to enjoy this holiday season the best we can. We've been given this wonderful gift, and we are going to make the most of it, along with everything else we'll be doing over the next 2 months or so. Diddy's like, yeah, this is cool and all, but it's no Frosty Village. It's no Walrus Cove. Dun 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 dun. The Pope is wanking, the Pope is wanking. Go watch I Wish I Was the Walrus every day once you're done with this. Go pull it up, it'll get you in the mood. Fuck yeah, I love Diddy Kong. Diddy is... He's just perfect. He's the perfect video game protagonist. Dixie is my second favorite character, and I wish he was in this. I really... And sometimes I like Dixie more than I do Diddy, if I'm honest. If I'm perfectly, completely transparent, I do like Dixie more than Diddy on some occasions. I think it depends on the context. Like... Gun to my head, it's always going to be Diddy. Diddy's always going to be my guy. But, you know, to bring it back to Frasier, because I got to bring it back to Frasier, I really like the Cheers cast. The cast of characters in Cheers. Frasier was always my favorite. But Lilith is right up there with Frasier. They make a great duo. They make a great pair. And honestly, I might like Lilith more than I do Frasier. It's the same way with Diddy and Dixie, even though, you know, their personalities are nothing alike to Frasier and Lilith. But yeah, they're just they're a tandem. They're a inseparable duo, except they can be separated from time to time. But you know, they're always going to be linked, and they're always going to be my favorite. But I love Funky too. I love all Donkey Kong characters, even to some extent Professor Chops. So. Yeah, I'm happy today. This is a good day. This is a good day if you are Donkey Kong fans. Enjoy it, people. Like, these victories seem seldom, few and far between. But I think next year is going to be a good year for us all things considered. I think with the theme park opening in Osaka and all the potential that might come as a result of it, we have a lot of reasons to look forward to 2024, Donkey Kong wise, that is. So yeah, hopefully this is just but the first taste of a bounty to come. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'll check in with this chat one more time. Jem says, Lilith cheated, fuck her. Okay, but Frasier made out with Nanny G like 6 months beforehand. Made out with her in front of Lilith. So I think Lilith had some incentive. And yeah, Lilith ran off and left Frasier. Say, okay. Lilith made mistakes. Now we're arguing about Cheers lore in the chat. What have I done? I'm sorry. Freezer says, as a Southern Hemisphere person, I never associate Christmas as snow. It should be sweaty and humid. Diddy should be leaving a trail of sweat behind him. Were you here when I was in Sydney? When I took Diddy to Sydney, or I took Funky to Sydney, took one of them to Sydney. Anyway, that was your Christmas track. Sorry for creating all the Cheers controversy in the chat. Make sure you tune in this Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. GMT. DK Vine's Stream of Thieves. We will be continuing to build the DK Vine Guild in Sea of Thieves with more adventures to come. The Idaho crew. I don't know what the Idaho crew has planned for this Tuesday or next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I can only surmise, I can only guess that it may involve some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe shenanigans. People have been asking, hey, multiplayer, you're doing this solo today, Hyle, but are you going to bring in the community and allow us to have Mario Kart chicanery with each other? And the answer is yes, but the answer is I'm waiting to see if the Idaho crew is doing it first, because I'm going to let them have first dibs. We're going to have maybe a couple multiplayer sessions that we will stream for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe throughout the upcoming holiday season. So stay tuned. Check your listings. If you're a patron, you'll get the email. If you follow us on social media, check out our feed, and you'll get notifications as to when we're planning them. But I don't know what the Idaho crew has planned, but they might be the ones to truly kick that off this Tuesday. The next episode of The Conversation will also be about our first impressions for Diddy and Funky in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Cameron and I will be sitting down, hashing out how we feel about this in a more controlled environment where I'm not getting blue shelled 4 times in a row. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, I hope you enjoy this update, and I hope you stop complaining on the DK Vine forum just 2 months. Just 2 months. Give us 2 months. All right. Bye.